folks. Welcome to Never on the Back Foot podcast. Tonight, we are engaging in an in depth discussion of the IPL auctions that have happened. So, in the first part of our analysis, we are looking predominantly at Chennai Super Kings, Mumbai Indians, Sunrisers Hyderabad, Royal Challengers Bangalore, and the Kolkata Knight Riders in no particular order, or maybe a particular order because both Rishab and I are massive RCB fans. So, probably that could be one of the reasons. But basically, the plan of this live stream is to, examine how the teams have performed in the auctions, how their squads are shaping up, and a lot more in what promises to be a fun conversation. Of course, we have Rishab joining us. I'd like to call him a breakthrough sports journalist of our times, and it is an absolute honor to have him here. Every 3 minutes, as I was telling Rishab off record, I see one of his status, with one of his articles for the place he's working for now, and he's doing some remarkable jobs. So, guys, please do check that out. I'll make sure to share the links post the session as well. And to all the viewers who have joined us in, please do, share your thoughts and comments. We make sure to address it through the course of our discussion. And let's kickstart with that. So, Rishabh, your first thoughts on the two very exhilarating days of IPL auction. I know personally for you, it's been quite taxing. You've been writing so much, but just as a fan and onlooker as well, just so much to take away, no?
Yeah, lots actually, and like a lot of big names that we did expect to go. These intense bidding wars. Shreyas Iyer, you have Rishabh Pant. Chahal was a little bit of a surprise for me. 18 crores, honestly, I didn't expect. I mean, he does deserve, but I didn't expect he'd get that much. Arshdeep and a lot of these guys going for big money. But the good thing was, apart from these big names, franchises have spent a lot on uncapped players as well this time. If you look, a lot of uncapped players getting good deals really, and that is a good sign. And even if you look at the number of overseas players versus Indian players purchased, or even the amounts that the bids, like a lot of overseas players, 11 crores, 12 crores, they've been in that bracket. But a lot more has been spent on Indian players rather than overseas. So a significant shift, I feel, in the strategy of franchises. That is a good thing. As the name goes itself, Indian Premier League. So you want to promote and have a lot of Indian talent, that Indian core that we always talk about. So those are, I think, a little takeaways, because we always see, even the last auction, you saw Stark and these guys going for massive money. But this time around, the overseas players haven't gone for such exhilarating amounts. So I think that is also one takeaway from the auction this time.
Those are actually fantastic observations because, as you rightly said, through all these seasons of the IPL, we've seen teams go absolutely bonkers and just splurge on these overseas picks. But this time around, to see the likes of say Rishabh Pant or even KL Rahul and all of them go for that much money was pleasing. I mean, to see a record like Shreyas Iyer first broke the bank, and then you saw Rishabh Pant come in and do that. So I mean, a lot of interesting things like that. But Rishabh, let's start with RCB, right? Because I mean, there was just so much chatter. I think even we had this conversation, right, about how a lot
Yeah.
of people were just criticizing RCB left, right, and center for having a poor auction, for not, making the most wisest of those purchases and all of that. So probably direct this one to you. Like, what did you make first up of RCB's retentions? Let's look pre-auctions before we start talking about the auctions. So, what were your thoughts on RCB's retentions?
I think there was a clear strategy with the retentions, just three retentions: Virat, Patidar, and Yash Dayal. So, very clear strategy there, that they want an overall of sorts. And even if you look at how they went about the auction later, you don't have a lot of these guys who are from the previous batch coming back into the side. And it's good. RCB has always lacked that Indian core, so having those three Indian players retentions, I feel they were really decent retentions. A lot of talk about not having Faf, not having Maxwell, not retaining Jacks, and all of that. But I think from a shift in strategy perspective, those three retentions made a lot more sense to have, and then build your core around that.
Absolutely. And again, looking at this aspect, a lot of people were, criticizing RCB even with this respect that they didn't exercise that RTM card as much as they should have ideally, Say the likes of Siraj, Bill Jackson, all of these folks, didn't have the RTM put on them. So, Rishabh, what did you make of this discourse? Do you think it was a fair call that RCB was looking for an overhaul? So they clearly didn't want these players in that setup? Or was it the auction dynamics as we call it, and that kind of playing a role.
I think even before the auctions, you had Mo Bobat after the retentions. He told that with respect of Siraj's release, we are looking to add more variety and we are going with a more open mind into the auctions. So that pretty much makes it clear. I mean, yes, Siraj does bring in the experience of playing for India, all formats. He's been with the team for like 6, 7 years. But if you look at his IPL performance, it wasn't as great. And then you need guys who can deliver at Chinnaswamy, really. I mean, it is a bowler's graveyard, so you need people who can deliver there. So that, I mean, keeping emotions aside, it is a pretty much a fair call. Even with Will Jacks, for that matter, if you look at them not using the RTM for Will Jacks, but in that much amount, you've got the likes of Tim David, you've got Jacob Bettel, you've got Romario Shepherd. Tim David coming in with similar skill sets to Will Jacks as far as power hitting is concerned, I feel. And with Bettel and Romario Shepherd, you're adding a bit of a bowling options as well there. So it's really not like they've done a blunder by letting Jacks go. You've just added more depth and more variety. If you look at the three names that I took in the same amount as what we would have got in Jacks. So I understand the bashing because of the emotions and all, but if you look at it in a rational sense, not bad calls at all, I'd say.
I mean, fair points there, and I think Akash Ambani might also agree with you because the handshake that he gave after that, whole Bill Jacks purchase was a story in itself.
Very
But
fishy.
again,
I don't know what that was. It looks almost looked like it was
pre-planned.
a trade inside the auction itself, if you have to put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Because we've seen how RCB and Mumbai have done their trades in the past as well. You could see how the whole Cameron Green purchase led to like
Yeah.
a butterfly effect of Hardik Pandya coming here, them their purse opening up and everything. But again, just looking at RCB's acquisitions at the auctions, right? They were coming in with what probably the second largest like purse amount. So there were expectations that they're going in for an overhaul, might as well invest in some of those best players. So are you convinced with the acquisitions that have happened?
I think it's been a decent auction, honestly, for RCB because given the purse, if you look, there was a lot of talk of get UZ back, get KL back, go after these big players. But over the years, if you have noticed with RCB, they've always gone behind the big players and the results haven't come. So the strategy is very clear this time that they've not gone after those big star players. They've not put in huge money on just one or two guys like it's been the case. And they've looked to add a lot of depth and variety in the squad, really. So from a fan perspective, you would feel why is there no Rahul, why is there no UZ? But they've done a fairly decent job in building a balanced squad rather than just blindly going after star players, I'd say. And even if you look at the likes of Phil Salt, Liam Livingston, Tim David, there's enough firepower in the batting. So they've kept up the RCB has always been batting heavy, and they've kept that up. And if you look at Jitesh Sharma and Krunal Pandya, I'd say we always don't have those players in the middle order, especially Indian players. Your top three, four solid, and after that it's gone. So you need some stability there, which they've looked to address with these two names. And even as far as the bowling is concerned, the biggest concern has been bowling for RCB, really. So we look at getting Josh Hazelwood back, looked at Bhuvneshwar Kumar. They've looked to add a lot of experience there because you need guys who can pick wickets at Chinnaswamy. You don't need guys. Your defending is something that is very difficult on that ground. You need someone who can pick wickets rather than containing the flow of runs. That's not going to happen, really. And even with Rasik Dar, I feel a very interesting buy. Emerging Asia Cup, he's done really well. A potential death bowling option as well there. So some really decent buys from that sense. I'd say even Jacob Bethel, I feel he could also start over David at some point in the 11, brings that spin option as well. So they've looked to add a lot of depth, a lot of backups as well, and pretty much a lot of bases have been covered, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely one of those auctions where, I don't think a lot of fans complained about the purchases, but they were a little sad about certain aspects. Like, let's talk about this criticism that RCB is often, given that they don't select local players, they don't support their own players. And the very fact that they didn't go for KL Rahul did come as a shocker for a lot of people, because you could see, right? You get those feelers of how it could be a possible homecoming for him. He's left LSG, his toxic workplace, and there is a possibility of him coming to RCB. But then that didn't happen, right? So Rishabh, again, did you feel let down by that aspect that RCB didn't quite, invest in those local players and even KL Rahul for that matter?
I mean, talking of Rahul, we all obviously did want him to come back, homecoming local boy, like you said. But if you look at his T20 numbers, that strike rate is still a really big issue. I feel one of the reasons why you'd say it's good that you don't have him in the team, because it can always backfire. You spend big bucks and he doesn't deliver as expected. There's a lot of pressure as well, uh, especially with a franchise like RCB. So with the local players, yes, I feel there were a lot of guys they should have targeted, could have got Vaishak Vijay Kumar back, really. A lot of guys in the Maharaja T20 who did really well this season. They could have got a lot of people back. Manoj Bhandge is a good buyback, I'd say, but I hope he gets a chance to play in the 11. Devdutt Padikkal, I'm a bit skeptic about him coming back, but local boy, so it's okay. But I think a lot of better other players who RCB could have, local players who they could have targeted Shreyas Gopal, you have Jay Suchit, all of these big names. But apart from that, you also have a lot of other guys whom Vidwat Kavirappa, Abhinav Manohar, lot of these guys they could have actually gone after. And I don't know what is their thing with not getting local players. Really.
Yeah, well, that is one strategy. I think it will always, continue to puzzle us as to why RCB doesn't go after those local players. And before we actually start, breaking down each aspect of the sport further, Rishabh, like, who do you think would be the ideal person to lead RCB as captain? I think, off record, again, we were talking about, Virat Kohli being the ideal choice, for 3 years, and he can groom someone. But then, I don't know, maybe they would just want to, look at grooming a new captain rather than having Virat Kohli lead the team and have the team revolve around him. So, how would you look at this captaincy conundrum, so to say?
Tough pick. At the moment, it really looks like there is no one else apart from Virat who can, really captain the side. But I think one name they could probably hand the captaincy over to is Rajat Patidar. He's captaining his state team in the Syed Mushtaq Ali as well. So, and with an Indian player, I think it's good to have an Indian captain. And with Virat around still for 2-3 seasons or how many ever, you'd want to utilize that chance and let him groom, like what CSK is doing with Ruturaj, with Dhoni still being there. So probably something like that. Otherwise, Krunal Pandya, Bhuvneshwar Kumar maybe, but I don't know if there are long term aspects for captaincy really. So if not Virat, I'd say Rajat Patidar ideally.
Yeah, and I think even you were talking about someone like a Nitish Rana too, right? A left field choice. I mean, he's a southpaw too, and that he could possibly be considered as well. And I think only time will tell, right, how RCB would kind of want to progress with that, because Virat has been in the setup like ever since the inception of the league, and having a new person come and take up the reins might be slightly challenging. I mean, either case, I think if Virat is announced as captain, it's definitely going to give a lot of fans happiness, right? I mean, see the king, come back and stamp his authority again. But anyways, let's not get ahead of ourselves there, and let's look at RCB's batting now, right? I mean, the addition of Tim David, then you have Devdutt Padikkal, Phil Salt, Jitesh Sharma, and Liam Livingston. Again, Richard, just looking at these names, like, were you really happy to see that RCB invested in them, and seeing them in RCB colors is definitely going to be a sight to behold, right?
Definitely, I think they've done a decent job. We needed an opener and a wicketkeeper, so Phil Salt fits the bill there. I think Chinnaswamy will suit him. Had a good season with KKR last year, and recently for England as well. You saw that 100 that he smashed. So I think he can be someone ideal along with Virat, similar to what Faf did. I think he can play that role. And if you look at the likes of Liam Livingston, Tim David, all these power hitters, so they've, like I told, they've kept up with that power hitting that RCB is known for. Chinnaswamy, those guys get going. You can see RCB doing what SRH did last year with the batting. If all of these guys get going, honestly, With Devdutt Padikkal, the reason why I told you I'm a little skeptic is because I don't see where he'll fit in. Because if you have Salt and Virat opening, Devdutt at number three doesn't work. We've seen the last couple of seasons. At number three, he's not worked, and the only way you can fit him in is Salt and him open, and Virat goes back to his traditional number three, which I wouldn't want again because he's done well opening in the last few seasons. Last year also orange cap. So, but then you need a left-hander. If you look at the batting, Phil Salt, Virat, Tim David, Livingston, Jitesh Sharma, it's all right heavy. Apart from Krunal Pandya and him, you don't have those left-handers. And at some grounds, just keeping the ground dynamics, the size, boundary sizes in mind, you might want that left-right combination. So I think that's going to be a little bit of an area that they'll have to work out. How are they going to fit him in to have those that left right combination as well? But otherwise they're batting really deep. If you see Salt, Virat, David, Livingston, Jitesh Sharma, Krunal Pandya, like I mentioned, once the top 3 4 are done, you don't have people who bring stability in the lineup really. So with those two Indian names over there at the back end, after your number 4 5, you've added depth with the batting there, and guys whom other guys can bat around as well. So I think they've done good to address that. How they perform, obviously, time will tell, but they've done good to address that middle order and lower middle order problem that has always been there, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, these are batting heavyweights in that lineup, who give you a lot of confidence as well. But RCB is also is a team, that has been often guilty of just investing so much in batters that their bowling attack is almost non-existent. But I feel like this time around they just debunked that, right? Because just look at the Pacers department. You have the likes of Josh Hazelwood, you have Bhuvi, you have Rasik Salim, then you have Nuwan Tushara and Luki and Didi, right? I mean, some of them were picked in the accelerated auction as well, but you could see a clear intent that RCB wanted to beef up their bowling attack as well. So, Rishabh, a quick word on how this attack is going to shape up and it's giving you some confidence. I know we're looking at Chinnaswamy conditions for like half of the season, but still something good that we can celebrate perhaps.
Yeah, I think they've made a conscious choice to conscious attempt rather to bolster that bowling lineup, because that has been the major issue really for RCB. And with the likes of Josh Hazelwood and Bhuvneshwar Kumar, lot of experience. Now I know a lot of people would say Bhuvi is not his prime Bhuvi that he used to be, but I think, see, here's the thing with Hazelwood and Bhuvi, if you can even get 2 3 overs out of them at the top in the power play, those guys are still lethal in the power play. I don't know about the depth. That is going to be a bit of an issue. You have Yash Dayal there, but I don't know how effective Hazelwood and Bhuvi will be in the depth. But if you can get 2 3 overs out of them at the top in the power play, they can really pick you wickets. So, and if all three of them do well in conundrum, it can be a really strong fast bowling attack. um, Nuwan Tushara, I think, is another name that is very less talked about. The guy's ability to deliver Yorkers can be something that can come in really handy, I feel. Rasik Dar as well could be your potential death bowling option. Uh, you have the impact player rule now that you can really make use of and fit him in as well there. So really some decent options as far as the fast bowling is concerned. Spin, I feel, still looks a little weak. I mean, there is Suyash Sharma who's been impressive, but he's not that established a name. So depends to be seen how he is going to perform really. Krunal Pandya is a decent name, but again, not a huge turner of the ball. Somewhere like Chinnaswamy, I think he can come in handy because he's someone who relies on pace and accuracy, can cut down the runs in those middle overs really. But when we travel away, I think again you do have who's the other guy, the spinner. You have Swapnil Singh as well, but I think when we go away, they're going to struggle a bit with the spin again, honestly. But collectively, as a unit, I feel it's a lot decent bowling attack than the previous seasons.
That is true. And let's just actually take this quick comment by Ujjwal as well. That goes on to add, I think, what you said also, that the death bowling
That
certainly looks like a
looks
massive
a
concern.
concern.
They should have covered it up by buying an experienced leg spinner. So Rishabh, I mean, did you also think the same that somewhere they could have invested in a proper leggy, and that is the one chink in the armor that RCB is probably going to struggle through in the season?
Yeah, definitely. Since UZ is gone, we've not had impact leg spinner really. Hasaranga did do well one season, but he's not been that effective, or could have had him back as well. Not a bad choice because he brings the experience. But like I told with Suyash Sharma, not that established a name. And
Yeah.
Hazelwood and Bhuvi are two guys who are good in the power play, but they're not traditionally death bowlers. Bhuvi is not. I don't know if he's going to be at his prime to call him a death bowler. So you only have Yash Dayal and Rasik Dar as an option there. Rasik as well. Prospect, a really good prospect, but again, experience is something that he also lacks. So that question is still there. Who's going to be the death bowler apart from Yash Dayal, really? So they've got to figure that out. And yeah, like I told, death bowling is still a concern.
I mean, yeah, there hasn't been a single time where an RCB squad has been perfect. So, probably this is one thing we're going to have to live with. And as you think of the final playing 12 for RCB, Rishabh, if you just had to, give us a quick rundown of the strengths and weaknesses of this RCB side, what would that look like?
So the strengths, like I told you, the top five, six, if you look, the batting is really looking strong. So traditionally, as always, that is a strength. I mentioned Krunal and Jitesh, so they've taken that effort to add some players who can bring stability once your top three, four are gone. So that is also a strength. With Bhuvaneshwar and Josh Hazelwood, the bowling does look good. But if you look at the weaknesses, the major weakness again, one, death bowling concern. Second, spin attack still looks bleak. There is no established or big name there really. So I think these two are the major concerns or weaknesses as far as RCB is concerned. Not much to think. These two are really the areas where they'll have to figure out.
Yeah, no, makes sense actually. And before we move on to Mumbai Indians, I'll again put you on the hot seat here. What is your final playing 12 for RCB looking like? The reason I use 12 is because, playing 11 plus that impact player.
Impact.
So, yeah, what does that look like for you?
So for me, like I told, Phil Salt and Virat to open. Rajat walks in at three. I'd say Liam Livingston at four. Tim David at five. So there's your three foreigners. And we would have Jitesh at six, Krunal at seven. And then you have Suyash Sharma as your leg spinner. Bhuvi 8. Hazelwood 9. And Yash Dayal is 10. And maybe a Swapnil Singh, I guess, and Rasid Dar could be your impact player.
I mean, on paper, this definitely looks like a really solid playing 11. I think based on conditions here and there, you would probably see a change. But yeah, sure, that pretty much does conclude our segment for RCB before, our viewers start accusing us of making this an RCB show. So let's talk about Mumbai Indians because again, just looking at their auction, it was kind of funny, right? Because in the first half, we could see them literally not go after any players because they had retained so many players that they obviously didn't feel the need to go after those big purchases. But some really smart buys, in the latter half of day one and day two as well. So before we kind of get to that side of things, what did you first make of MI's retentions? One of the biggest shockers was, of course, them not retaining Ishan Kishan, but Tilak Varma, kind of leapfrogged him, so to say. But your thoughts on Mumbai's retentions first up?
I think 80% of their job was done with the in the retentions itself. Honestly, you look at I still can't get my head around how they managed to get all these retain all these guys for those amounts and that budget. Really, Surya Kumar, Rohit, Tilak, Bumrah, Hardik, half of your 11's done there only. Fantastic retentions, and I think they've had a good follow up auction as well because they had specific slots that they have to cover after your 5 6 players are already set. So they had a, I think, one of the teams that had a good option, honestly.
That is true, and although a lot of fans were disappointed, why is Mumbai not raising the paddle for certain players? I mean, they had a set strategy in mind. Literally their playing 11 picks itself, with the kind of players they've picked. So again, your thoughts on Mumbai's acquisitions, and were you like pleased to see a lot of like unknown names and commodities also just making their presence in this MI family, as they like to call it?
Yeah, a lot of guys. Bevan Jacobs is there. Robin Mins, Srijit, really. There's Vignesh Putur. They have many names there who would be exciting prospects, I feel. They've always done that. You look the likes of Tilak Verma, you look at Nehal Vadera, Naman Dhir. They've always got these guys in that star packed 11 as well, and they've created those players. So that's something typical of Mumbai Indians to do, I feel. And their batting was sorted even before the auction, I feel, but the bowling is something where they had to work, and I feel they've done a good job at the auction. If you look at Trent Bolt, Deepak Chahar, Mitchell Santner, Ala Gazanfar even, I think really good buys. They've built a gun pace attack, I'd say, really.
Yeah, I mean, Mumbai is one team, you would never fault them for their scouting because they really know how to, source some of the best players, get them to the trials. And once they're in the Mumbai Indians setup, the academy setup and everything is just perfect, right?
Totally.
So, in that sense, I think they'll be very proud of the kind of auction they had. But let's talk about Bevan John Jacobs, right? I think he was one of the biggest additions to this Mumbai Indians lineup. A
Definitely.
lot of people are excited that, hey, we have this unheralded player in the setup. So, Rishabh, what have you made of him so far? Have you had a chance to watch some of his clips or read up about him?
Yeah, he's just 22, by the way. Young talent, but explosive middle order batter. Uh, the Super Smash 23-24, the New Zealand tournament that happens, he was one of the top performers there, the 23-24 season. If you look at his strike rate in 6 innings there, 188.73. Fantastic numbers there. In the middle order, you need someone like that. And Wankhede also suits power hitters really. So I think an exciting prospect. I don't know if he's going to start in the 11 right away, but really exciting buy, I'd say, for Mumbai.
That is true. And although, last season, a lot of people had expectations from Mumbai, because they kind of had like a settled, like squad and playing 11. But there were a lot of things happening behind the scenes. The fans were unhappy for a lot of reasons. And that's why I just want to bring Ujjwal's comment into perspective. He says the only thing that can stop MI from playoffs is the captaincy greed between Rohit, Surya, and Hardik. Otherwise, it's a power-packed squad. So, Rishabh, do you agree with this that last season problems will kind of percolate here because Surya now leads the T20 side, Rohit is your India captain for the other two formats, Hardik is the Mumbai captain, and Hardik interestingly plays under his brother Krunal at Baroda. So it's like, do you think this captaincy thing is again going to be like a massive, massive concern? Because the Mumbai management also did announce, right, that Hardik will continue as the captain. So I think the players will have to have made their peace with it. But hoping that problem doesn't resurface.
I think if they've announced Hardik as captain, got him back as captain last season, there's definitely thought behind it, and they are going to back him because you don't know how many more seasons Rohit is going to play. And I don't think it is going to be that much of an issue. For the sake of masala and controversy, you can bring it up, but see, end of the day, Rohit, Surya, all these guys are thorough professionals. So I don't think there's really going to be that much of an issue as far as the captaincy fight or captaincy greed is concerned. They're all professionals. They know how to go about their job. They all know what the team requirements are. So I don't think that is going to be that much of an issue. Honestly, I don't think so, at least.
Yeah, really hoping that. And Ujjwal also goes on to add this thing that we spoke about earlier that MIRCB couldn't wait for trade window, so they
Yeah,
traded
I told
Rishab
you it was a
and
trade within the auction. I told you, yeah.
a very smart move, something I think a lot of teams did not really see coming. But I think this is one such arrangement that's going to benefit both the teams, right? And just looking at Mumbai's squad composition, I think in the wicket keepers category, they've let go of Ishan Kishan, so they had to invest on someone, and that's why you see the likes of Robin Mins, then you have Ryan Rickleton, Krishna and Srijit, are some of these talents that they've invested in. So Rishabh, who makes the final cut for you? I mean, all the three are good talent, someone Mumbai can invest in, and we've seen the wonders they've done for these players, right? So, in
Definitely.
your opinion, who would make the cut?
I think someone like Ryan Rickleton could possibly make the cut above. because you look at their Indian batting, they have a lot of guys there already. And if you look at Ryan Rickelton specifically, he's played for MI Cape Town in the SA20 as well, so there is that connect as well, and he performed well as well there. And again, that left-hander perspective, you have Rohit, you have Surya, you have Hardik, a lot of right-handers there, so some left-hander in the squad will bring balance as well. And he was also there in South Africa's T20 squad for the World Cup. He didn't get a game, but he was there. He's put up good performances in SA20. So, and if you look at the four foreigners as well, that I feel, they'll start with probably Santner. There's Trent Bolt over there, Will Jacks, and I feel Ryan Rickelton. So I feel he could start above Mins or Srijit.
Yeah, makes sense because they definitely want to bolster that wicket-keeper position and someone in their batting as well. And to just talk a little bit about Naman Dhir, Raj Angad, Baba, and Vignesh Puttu, right? Again, such interesting additions to their setup. I don't know if they're going to get a lot of game time, but Rishabh, again, from the exposure point of view, how excited are you for this trio?
Definitely, a lot of big names in the Mumbai squad. All of these guys have played years of international cricket, so the exposure part is definitely there. With Naman Dheer also, I think he was one of the key players for Punjab winning the SMA-T 23-24 season. So I feel Naman Dheer could even start in the 11. Honestly, he's been good for Punjab in domestic cricket. But even the other guys, I think, even irrespective of whether they get to start or not, massive, massive learning experience with the kind of names they have in the squad. And Mahela's back in the coaching staff as well. He's another big name. So lots to learn really for these guys. And MI again, that kind of environment where a lot of these guys thrive. Like I told you, Ishan Kishan, Nehal Vadera, Tilak Verma, all of these guys have come out from there.
Again, fair points there. And just looking, at the spinners category as well, you have the likes of Allah Ghazan for someone. I think a lot of us RCB fans were hoping, that RCB would invest in him, but cool, okay, someone else has. And you have the likes of Karan Sharma, Mitchell Santner. So again, is this giving you a lot of confidence of a formidable spin attack, or just looking a little rough at the edges, and you would hope for them to come good when the time comes?
No, 100% they've done a good job with the spin attack, because last 2-3 seasons, if you see, spin has been a little bleak for Mumbai. You did have Piyush Chawla there, but again, Piyush Chawla not in his prime, so you can't solely depend on that guy really. We saw what Mitchell Santner did to us in that series. So, and Kan Sharma's been there for a long time, brings in that experience. Ala Ghazanfar as well, lot of spinners coming out from Afghanistan, Rashid, Mujib, Noor. Then you have Ala Ghazanfar now. They're just producing really good spin talents. Yeah, exactly. Ala Ghazanfar is a really good buy, honestly. So I think they have a really well-rounded spin attack, honestly, and looking a lot more better than the previous seasons. That is one aspect where they did have to work, and I'd say they've done a decent job.
Fair enough. And again, just taking this Ujwal's comment that goes on to say Mumbai squad is very excited after picking Robin Mins. And because Bill Jacks came, I think he is going to start. I think for a lot of us RCB fans, it would be a little tough side to see Bill Jacks, in blue, playing for another team. But again, Rishabh, like Bill Jacks being added to this Mumbai Indians setup, a clear intent that he is going to make that playing 11, right?
Definitely, because there was that question that who is going to open with Rohit. So I think the answer is sorted there. Wiljack's high probability of him opening the batting with Rohit. Wankhede again will suit the kind of batting, and obviously he brings in a bit of the spin as well. So an additional bowling option as well there. Utility cricketer. So definitely Jacks is going to start. When I told you the four foreign players, he was there in one of my list. So an ideal opening partner for Rohit. So definitely Jax is going to start in the 11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as much as it's going to be an eyesore for us RCB fans, I think Ujjwal pretty much captures the sentiment with Will Jackson. Chinnaswamy will be an entirely different atmosphere. But then I think this is beyond the players' control. Honestly, it's all about the management and if they wanted him back. But anyway, Rishabh, what are when you look at Mumbai Indians as well, like what are some of the strengths and weaknesses for this Mumbai Indians squad? Because I was having a look at their pace attack, and besides Trent Bolt and probably Deepak Chahar to some extent, I'm not getting a lot of confidence. So I'll just leave it open to you as to how you would gauge strengths and weaknesses for Mumbai.
Strengths, the major strength of Mumbai Indians, like it has been always, is their Indian core. No doubt about that. Rohit, Surya, Hardik, Tilak, all of these big names, and their batting as well is definitely a strength. What they've done this time, like I told you, with Ala Ghazanfar, Santner, Khan Sharma, they've got decent spinners as well there, and with the bowling as well, Bumrah with the Trent Bolt is a big strength, I'd say. Really, Trent Bolt and Bumrah in the power play, deadly combo. But as far as the weakness is concerned, I think with Deepak Chahar, there is that issue of fitness, and you don't know if he's going to be at his 100% best. If he is, then that's again going to be a different talk altogether. But yeah, and even the same goes with Reece Topley, actually. Tall left arm pacer, brings a lot of variety, good in the power play. But he also, last season, RCB, he just played 4 games and he got injured and he was out. So, and even after that, he's been struggling with injury concerns. So I think backups in the fast bowling department is an issue. God forbid, let's say a Bolt or a Bumrah get injured or something, then who are your backups? Lizard Williams, Reece Topley. Lizard Williams not so confident really. Reece Topley injury again is the biggest concern. Is he going to be fit to play the whole season or not? Same with Deepak Chahar. So I think the backups, as far as fast bowling is concerned, is the only issue I feel in their squad. Otherwise, they're pretty sorted.
Yeah, makes sense. And before we move on to CSK, Rishabh, like what's your final playing 12 for Mumbai Indians looking like?
For Mumbai Indians, Rohit Sharma will jacks. Tilak Varma at 3, Surya at 4, Hardik at 5, Namandir at 6, and I'd probably, I don't know where they're going to fit in Ryan Rickleton over there. If not him, maybe a Robin Mins or a Srijit. Either of the three over there. Mitchell Santner, probably Karan Sharma, Bumrah, and Bolt. Or between Karan Sharma, and Deepak Chahar based on conditions. And they can also use Ala Ghazanfar with the impact player rule, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. Exciting times for Mumbai. We'll see a slightly different team, although, they did retain a lot of players. We have this
Major
influx
change.
of new players. Yeah. And I have to take Ujjwal's comment of this, which went on to say Mumbai and RCB are so successful that they have a combined 5 trophies out of 17. Sure, Ujjwal, RCB and Mumbai are literally the same team. So we're going to let that pass. But hopefully RCB can prove us wrong this time around and go all the way. Or in Smriti Mandana's word, let's not talk about the end goal till the end goal eventually is in our hands. But anyway, let's not talk about it. Let's talk about CSK now because this is another champion outfit. Uh, I think they had such a stellar auction. I think they filled up almost all of their slots, right? And Stephen
Sure.
Fleming looked like a man on mission. Like he's going after those players. The management looked so much in sync, right? So again, before we get to the auction side of things, Rishabh, what did you make of the retentions? Pretty predictable ones there. They had to let go of. No, they didn't let go of Dhoni. He was their uncapped player, and we saw how that rule was tweaked and everything, which was hilarious now that we think of it. But again, I won't talk a lot. Your thoughts on CSK's retentions?
Definitely some very obvious retentions there, like you mentioned, Dhoni, Jadeja, Gaikwad, Patirana. I was surprised they didn't retain Tikshana, but they've done a good job. The thing with CSK, similar to MI, is they retain a good core. So they've done that well. Even if you look at the auctions, they got Devon Conway back. They've got Rachin Ravindra back. They've got a lot of guys back as well from the previous season. So again, one of those teams that do well because they always have that core and they stick to it and they go with it for a long time. So CSK as well, good job with their retentions. And again, like you told, they looked like a team who knew what they have to fill and where they have to fill, and they were pretty sorted about going about their business in the auction. Again, one of those teams who had a good auction.
Most certainly, because I think one of the characteristic, things of CSK is in an auction, if they've let go of one of their players, they always make it a point to go after them. I mean, there were a few exceptions here and there, like Shardul Thakur and all of that, but you still saw how they were like very sure about the players they wanted.
They wanted, yeah.
And let's also take this comment by Ujjwal that goes on to say, Bolt plus Bumrah plus Deepak and Jaddu Ash Noor will make sure we have test match vibes at Wankhede and Chepauk, respectively. Okay, we're talking about T20 cricket, but he feels there's going to be like test match vibes because of this formidable bowling attack. But again, although CSK had the tendency of going after players they already had in their center, there are a lot of new additions and acquisitions. So, Rishab, your thoughts on the kind of investments that CSK made in the auction?
Definitely good picks. They've got Devon Conway back. You saw 23, him and Ruturaj Gaikwad, second highest partnership runs together. So you've got your old opening pair back, complement each other well. They've played with each other, they know each other's game. So that's sorted there. You've got always good to have that kind of opening pair back. And if you look at their buys, they've got Ashwin back, Ashwin Jadeja at Chepauk together. Insane, and they have their old trio of Jadeja, Dhoni, and Ashwin back. 2015 CSK vibes, really. They have those guys back, and I think they've done good with the likes of Sam Curran, also another player who's come back, and Sam Curran as well with his cutters at Chepauk can be very effective, decent with the batting as well. I think the buy of Noor Ahmed that they made stood out really for me, honestly, because at Chepauk, Noor Ahmed can really be deadly, given his skill sets, and you need that wrist spinner as well. I mean, after Imran Tahir, I don't recall uh, any that kind of a leg spinner or a wrist spinner from CSK. So I think Noor Ahmed is a pretty solid addition, and in Shreyas Gopal, they have a good backup as well. The guy can also provide you a bit of a batting down the order, so good with the balance as well there. And fast bowling as well. They've got Mukesh Chaudhary back, another name who was there. They've got Khalil Ahmed as well, so two left arm pacers bringing variety there. Kamlesh Nagarkoti, good buy, I'd say, but again, with him also, injury has been a concern. He's been out for, I don't know, forever. He's been out. He's really, I don't know what's the scene with him, really. Uh, Gurjanpreet Singh, Nathan Ellis. So they've done good to bolster that fast bowling attack, I feel. Uh, Good buys, I'd say. Decent. Vijay Shankar again, who can bring in balance, local guy as well. So Anshul Kamboj as well, another good prospect, nice prospect. So they've done well in the auction. I feel they have a lot of their bases covered. There's Rahul Tripathi who can again, bring in that solidity that they need in the middle order. So yeah, I feel decent, pretty good job CSK have done with their buys at the auction.
Yeah, because they were the one team that I think unanimously everyone agreed on had like the best options, the way they were able to fill their slots and
Slots,
actually
yeah.
invest in the right kind of talent with the budget they had. I think Ujjwal also goes on to add, that their best buys were Khalil because he's available for 14 games, unlike Deepak. He's already assuming Deepak is going to get injured. Sam at
Yeah,
2.4 was a massive
steal
steal,
by
and even
absolute
Ellis,
steal
right?
by.
Yeah, so Chepauk will suit him for his big boundaries as well. Talking about Nathan Ellis. So
So
your
that's the
thoughts on this, Rishabh?
yeah, that's the thing with CSK, right? They've kept their home conditions in mind, and based on those conditions, they've picked those kind of players whom the conditions will suit well and who can do well in those conditions. So that has been one of their biggest strengths, and they've stuck by it this time as well. Lot of these guys, like I told you, with Noor Ahmed, with even Khalil Ahmed, with Sam Curran, Ashwin coming back, all of these guys can do really well at Chepauk. It's going to suit, conditions are going to suit them undoubtedly. So very good thinking on that front, I'd say.
Absolutely. And Ujjwal also goes on to add this comment that if you see, other than Ashwin, they haven't really picked up those non-white ball international players. Khalil Ellis, Sam Conway, Rachin Noor are around their national sides as well. So again, Rishabh, what do you like make of this, right? Like, do you think these were, I mean, obviously smart purchases, but there was a clear mindset there somewhere?
Yeah, again, CSK has been that kind of team. They don't go after star or big players as much, really. Like I told you, they get players who can suit their requirements, their conditions, and pretty much as per their need, they know who they want, they know what slots they have to fill, and very sorted that way they go about their business. So doesn't matter even if they haven't gotten a lot of international players, they know the slots they wanted to fill, and they've done well to get those guys.
That is true. And again, I think Ujjwal is on a roll. I think most of his observations are so astute because I think they will groom either Vijay Shankar or Deepak Huda as the basher in the middle, similar to what they did to Dubey in 2022. So again, Rishabh, you see the possibility of that happening because Vijay Shankar, I mean, it's hilarious, right, to think of the kind of history he's had. Looked at the TV player, but couldn't quite really deliver for India in that 2019 World Cup. I think people are going to just take that matter with them to their graves because they were so disappointed in his performance. But do you think his addition to the CSK squad can possibly mean, a change in his fortunes or whatever?
Definitely, I think it can do him a world of good coming to CSK because local guy knows the conditions. He can play well there, contribute, and I think Chepak will also suit his kind of bowling, that slow, medium pace. Uh, I have a little concern with Deepak Huda, honestly. I don't know if he's even going to start in the 11 because if you look at his last two IPL seasons, 180 runs last year, 84 some runs last year. Average has been poor. Strike rate also isn't that great. And even on the international front, I think apart from 22, that Ireland series, he's not done much after that, I feel. So I'm really, if I had to point out only one buy that I didn't like from CSK, for me that has to be Deepak Huda. I don't know how he's going to fit in honestly, and his performances also haven't been that great in the past few seasons. So I don't think he's going to start. But Vijay Shankar, yes, good solid prospect.
Definitely, and I hope Deepak Huda can actually prove us wrong because when in full flow, the man is literally unstoppable.
Definitely,
And
yes.
I literally just think of that knock versus Ireland. I know, a lot of people term Ireland as minnows, and they even
I
term
mean,
like
you
Huda
still
as
have to
minnow
go out
bashers.
there. You still have to go out there and hit the ball and play. It's not like what EA Sports or something that it's just going to happen. You still have to go out there and do your job. So can't be undermined that way.
That is true. And Ujjwal, this comment again is hilarious. But Amati Raju keeps supporting CSK after Vijay Shankar being added to the squad. I think only time will tell if that happens. But honestly, I
Hey,
think
that
as
guy is
experts,
always Raidu is always going to be CSK supporter only. We saw that last season also. He's forgotten
I
that
think,
he's
yeah, he's an
forgotten that he's
expert, no?
won trophies with Mumbai as well. He's forgotten that he's like one CSK boy only.
Yeah, and I don't know. Honestly, I feel that as panelists, as experts, it's important to be as unbiased as possible and not
Unbiased.
have their affiliations
Yeah.
with certain teams. But I think time will tell. If we get to see Amadi right, who's a non-CSK fan, in play. And yeah, Rishabh, I think before we move on to KKR as well, what does your final playing 12 for CSK look like?
Final playing 12 for CSK. CSK Devon Conway and Ruturaj Gaikwad to start 100%. Rachin Ravindra maybe at 3. Rahul Tripathi at 4 to bring in that stability. Then you have Shivam Dubey coming at 5. Jadeja's your 6. Dhoni's your number 7. So you are done there. I think they can use Vijay Shankar or Deepak Huda as the impact players. But then you have Ashwin coming in, either of Khalil Ahmed or Mukesh Chaudhary, Noor Ahmed, and Pati Rana, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think CSK once again, looking like a team with a mission and looking quite strong at that. In what could possibly be Dhoni's last season, or again, is he going to, say definitely not and continue for 5 years? So probably
Never
that we're
know.
going to keep speculating. And yeah, that kind of brings us to KKR, another team. You could see some very happy faces at the auction table. Every single purchase, was met with like fist pumps, and you could see how Venki Mysore was like absolutely enjoying himself with some of those purchases as well. So looking at their squad composition, again, a lot of aspects. Like they were entering the auction, of course, having retained so many players, right? So, Rishabh, your thoughts on those retentions? Were you convinced with them? But also, somewhere were you like concerned that they've spent so much of their purse money retaining these players? How would the auction play out for them?
Yeah, again, solid retentions. I feel they tried to keep a lot of their core, Rinku Singh, Sunil Narayan, Varun Chakravarti, Andre Russell, all of these guys have been their core really. So they did a good job there, but I only feel Shreyas Iyer should have still been there. If not retained, should have gotten him back. I mean, on the batting front, I agree, but he's won you the trophy as a captain. So I don't know who's going to captain KKR this season if you look at their squad. So Harshit Rana again good retention. He did well in Australia as well per the first test. So I think the retentions were good. My only complaint is with Shreyas Iyer, but otherwise good retentions.
Yeah, I mean, behind the scenes, we don't know what transpired. Maybe, Shreyas Iyer demanded for a lot of money. These guys were not ready to,
Maybe
shell
himself
out.
he wanted to go into the auctions. Yeah, never know.
Yeah. Yeah, and Ujjwal, of course, being cheeky here with they took loyalty too seriously. I guess unlike RCB, Ujjwal, I mean, as fans, we can only probably shed a tear because RCB
Been
strategies are a
seeing
little
all
different.
these posts of Faf and Siraj,
Siraj.
and I'm like, dude, please.
Yeah, honestly, like it really goes to show how much of an impact RCB has had on them, the fans and
Yeah,
everything. But before this becomes a tangent conversation on RCB, coming back to KKR, that
take
clearly
care.
seems to value their loyalty. Let's talk about the Venkatesh Iyer buy. I think this was so shocking. I remember reading your piece on it as well, Rishabh. Like 23.7 crores for
Yeah,
Venkatesh Iyer was not on our bingo card. No one saw it coming. So please put it in perspective for us. What happened there?
I still don't feel Venkatesh Iyer was worth 23 crores, honestly, because if you're spending that big amount of money, you want someone like a Rishabh Pant or someone like a Stark who, even if give you only one skill set, are solid in that. Venkatesh Iyer, if you see decent numbers last season with the bat, but him being an all-rounder on paper, his bowling is as good as nothing. Like hardly bowled. So you play him only as a batter. Even if you look at the few games he's played for India, he's not had much success with the ball. So if you're playing him purely as a batter there, for his numbers, even from last season, I think 23 is way too much, not justified. His numbers honestly don't justify 23 crores. Blunt doesn't justify.
And imagine he's going to be coming into the season with that whole pressure, right? Of that price
Yeah,
tag
price
pressure,
tag,
as they call it.
huge price tag pressure, really.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Honestly, I really feel for the man, but then that's really how auction dynamics play out. Let's take a few comments as well. Ujjwal goes on to add, I think they should have stopped bidding for Venkatesh after 20 crores. Okay, the fact that you think they should have done it till
I
20
say 20 is also a lot.
should have gone after Nitish Rana. Oh, okay. Other
Yes,
ex-player who capped them in
good
2023. Do you
point.
agree with that?
Yes,
Okay.
100% agree with they should have gone for Nitish Rana. I agree he couldn't play the last season due to injury, 2 games. But if you look at Nitish Rana's numbers from 2020, every season he scored about 350 runs consistently. So you have someone with that who can bring you that solidity in the middle order, a bit of spin as well, always added with his part-time bowling. But a solid guy in the middle order, scoring 350 runs every season is takes something really to be consistent on that front. I think they really should have gone back for Nitish Rana rather than splurging on Venkatesh Iyer this much. Yeah,
Yeah, because
very
I think
fair point.
they got a chance to like interact with Venkatesh Iyer in that Star Sports segment, and you could see how he was also smiling. Like I don't think he thought they'll go after him and like continue with the bidding after 20 crores also. Nikhil, of course, goes on to add rather than a like for like replacement, they seem to have gone for an Iyer for Iyer replacement, clearly, because if you spend 23.75 crores for Venkatesh Iyer, might as well you could have got back Shreyas
I
Iyer.
really can't put. I can't even come up with a logic as to why they would have gone for such a big amount to get him back. Getting him back is a good move, no doubt, but I don't think
The money.
23, yeah, not worth. Really not, too high.
And doing a little bit of math here for us, Ujjwal goes on to say Venkatesh plus Andrik Nokia is equal to 30 crore. And on the other hand, Salt plus Stark plus Nitish Rana is equal to 26 crores. I mean, I don't know what to say to
Yeah,
this, but then fair
no,
enough, actually.
I'll agree with that because 3 4 years before Andrik Norkia was really lethal, but he's lot of
Oh,
injury
yeah.
concerns again. Pace has gone down. He's not that consistent as well. So I'm Andrik Norkia of present doesn't give me that much confidence, honestly. So Salt scored like what, dude, 300 plus runs last season for them. Good strike rate as well. One of the key players, really. I really feel, yeah, this front they could have gotten at least one of these guys back, if not all three.
Honestly, I was surprised that they didn't, put that RTM for Salt, but then they didn't have any RTMs left because of all those
All the
retentions, right?
retention, yeah.
Yeah, a little unfortunate scenario there. So a lot of like ifs and buts for KKR this season, I think, heading in. And Ujjwal, I think, also goes on to add that Andrik Nokia isn't really a new ball bowler like Stark. Also, he can be very consistent at times with batters, working with extra pace as well. So, I mean, Nokia, as you rightly said, hasn't really, inspired a lot of confidence lately. He had I think, a very shambolic season for Delhi last time around. I
Yeah,
remember
not
lot of experts
convincing
also
really.
talking. Yeah. So not sure with that purchase. Ujjwal also goes on to say that the best buy for them were Gurbaz and Vaibhav Arora, both at cheap prices and promise from recent form as well. So Rishabh, again convinced with these purchases, and again KKR showed that same sort of a mindset, right? We'll go after players who have already played with us. We know them
Yeah,
in
they got Gurbaz back. They got Weber Barora back. Weber Barora again, someone who can swing the ball both ways in the power play. Really good in the power play. Good prospect. Him along with Harshit Rana. Good to see these two young upcoming Indian fast bowlers really. And yeah, I feel with Weber Barora they've done a good job to get him back. A lot of promise. Gurbaz as well, a really decent option at the top. I mean, yeah, strike sometimes can be an issue, but the day Gurbaz gets going, he's a really beautiful player to watch. No doubt, he can take the bowling on right from the start in the power play. He's single-handedly, handled the batting for Afghanistan so many times. If you look at their last 1 2 years, he's been solid at the top. So Gurbaz definitely good buy. Again, they needed a wicket keeper as well with Phil Salt going away. So yeah, Gurbaz fits in that dual keeper batter role, opener as well.
Yeah, and Gurbaz has that flamboyance around him that makes him an incredibly special talent. I think he has a really long career, provided injuries and all of that don't come into
Yeah,
play. But again, Rishabh, let's get your quick thoughts on at large KKR's acquisitions as well, right? Because I was really happy seeing them invest in say the likes of Spencer Johnson, then Rohman Powell, then Quinton Deacock. Surprisingly, even Umran Malik, who I thought would go unsold, but in that accelerated
unsold.
round, you could
Yeah,
see how KKR was just throwing the hat in the ring at every given opportunity. So, again, your thoughts on some of those acquisitions?
yeah, very good Indian fast bowling attack with Vaibhav Arora, Harshit Rana, and Umran Malik. If he can revive, or rather more than revive, if they can really work on him and not let him just fade away or something. I feel can be a very potent fast bowling attack there. Rahman Powell again, a lot of West Indian flavor in KKR, and they've added to their firepower. You already have Narayan, Russell, Rinku Singh there, so only adding to the batting firepower really. And they've balanced it out well as well. If you look at likes of Ankush Raghuvanshi, they've got Manish Pandey back. They have Luvnit Sisodia. They have Ajinkya Rahane, Ramanullah Gurbaz. So with all these guys, they've balanced power hitting with guys whom all these guys can bat around, will bring stability as well. I think Quinton Decock really solid buy because he can again open the batting. He can keep as well, so that is solid there. And Decock along with Sunil Narayan, if he opens again in the power play, Narayan can take on the spinners, and Decock is someone who can handle pace. So they've got a good balance in the power play there. They can make utmost use of it, and an outside. opinion or choice, I would say Deco can also captain KKR. He's captained South Africa before, so outside choice if they don't find anyone to captain, Decock is an option there as well.
Fair shout there, Rishabh. I honestly wasn't thinking of Quinton de Kock because I was thinking probably for someone from the retained players list would kind of make the cut because Rinku Singh, right? Let's talk about Rinku Singh and take this comment from Ujjwal as well. Their biggest strength is that perhaps they have the best finishers in Triple R. Rinku will
Yeah,
have to take more responsibility with his India international experience. Lately, Rishabh, if you've observed, Rinku's form has, I wouldn't say dipped, but then it hasn't been to the kind of expectations he has set. Again,
expectations. Yeah, yeah.
victim of his own standards. But is Rinku's form concerning? And do you look at him as a captain or captaincy, captain option, or is it? Are we just jumping the gun there?
No, very early in his career, I feel so. Captaincy, I don't think it's fair enough to even put that pressure on him at the moment. As far as his batting goes, I wouldn't be worried about the form really because you've got to give time to these kind of players and the kind of environment he's surrounded in with the likes of Powell there, Russell there, all these guys. That's also going to lift him up to bring out his par game as well. So I'm not really concerned as far as his batting form is concerned. He'll thrive in that batting environment, I feel, really. But as far as captaincy goes, I don't think it's the right time to put that pressure on him because he's still got to evolve a lot as a player, not just par hitting, but he's got to work on consistency as well. So let him establish himself there first and maybe a long term prospect, I don't know, but not right now.
Yeah, that is a fair way of looking at it. But this captaincy conundrum is something,
Oh, they have
is
Rohman Powell as well, another outside captaincy choice. He also has captaincy experience
he has, but then
because
he's a new addition. No, उसको थोड़ी ना captain बना देंगे.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's a
Like
fair shout.
RCB
Yeah.
did, got Faf made him captain. I don't know because if you look at Manish Pandey, Ajinkya Rahane, I'm not sure if these guys will even start in the 11 or they'll play throughout the season. So captain, you need someone who you're sure is going to play throughout the season. So I'm not sure with Rahane or Manish Pandey, but they do have the experience. Yeah, but only from that perspective, I feel it could be Quentin de Kock or you go with the guy who you invested 23 CR in, make him the captain. That's all.
Oh my god, if that happens for real, viewers, you've heard this here first. Rishabh is thinking of, Venki Iyer as an option for
I mean,
captain
you've
because again,
invested so much in him. You've invested such a big amount in
I
him. So
guess, yeah. That's
might
a
as
fair
well
shout again. But look, KK really has some problems there with the captaincy side of things because you
captaincy.
really need someone
I mean,
formidable. Like,
they
yeah,
do have quite a bit of options, but the problem is we don't know how these guys are going to. I mean, if they are
each
going to start
around.
or play throughout the whole season, so that is an issue.
Yeah.
So if you have paid him 23 crores, he's going to play all 14 games. So make him the captain.
Makes sense, man. I was thinking about left field choices like Ajinkya Rahane, Manish Pandey, and all because they come in with that India experience, having
But
captained their
the
sides
only
in
thing,
domestic.
like I told, only thing with them is don't know if they'll play all 14 games. So that's the only thing.
Yeah. I mean, they've been out of favor also for so long, so it would be very
Yeah,
unrealistic to expect them to captain the side also
captain
playing
as
all
well. Yeah,
14 games. But again, Rishabh, before we move on to the strengths and weaknesses in that side of things, let's look at their spin attack because I mean the addition of Moin Ali, you have Barun CV, you also have the likes of Anukul Roy and Mayank Markande, right? I mean, again, it looks like quite the formidable spin attack. And more than too, right? They picked up with that accelerated auction round. Like, no one saw that coming, but happy with those purchases. And this will form the crux of the spin attack, right?
definitely. With Varun and Narayan, they already had their core spin set. So now with Moin Ali and Mayank Markande, all these guys coming in, they've just rounded up the spin option well, really. Moin Ali, again, another guy who can probably open the batting as well. You have another opening option there because opening is also something they have to think about. And I feel Mayank Markande honestly can be a dark horse kind of a guy in their attack because if you look at Varun, if you look at Narayan, look at Moin Ali, all these guys are finger spinners. They don't have a leg spinner. They left Suyash Sharma, so feel Mayank Markande can fit in there as their leg spinner because you have three finger spinners there. So yeah, I feel Mayank Markande can be on wickets where they do need that kind of a bowling. Mayank Markande can be their go-to leg spinner, I feel, but a well-rounded spin attack, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, imagine Mike Markand is coming from SRH, where the pitches in Hyderabad were like they literally had a story in themselves to say, and coming to conditions like say, the Eden Gardens and other
Hitting
places
guidance.
that
Yeah,
KKR built to. I'm hoping he has, much better returns because I think for some time he was looked at the option that India could consider going ahead, but somewhere, just fell
fell. Yeah.
rapidly in that pecking order. So I hope the season can be that for him. And yeah, Rishabh, although we've discussed so much about KKR, like if you had to just put in perspective the strengths and weaknesses, what would that look like?
Again, with KKR, the major strength is retaining their core, like CSK and MI have done. Lot of power hitters in that side is another strength, really. RRR, like was mentioned, and I feel, yeah, exactly, RRR, and a good set of Indian fast bowlers there, I feel, and their spin attack, of course, is their major strength. And weaknesses, like I mentioned, the lead foreign fast bowler Illa, because you let Stark go. Andrik Norkia at present doesn't give a lot of confidence. Form is also concerned, fitness is also concerned, pace has dropped down, and captaincy is going to be an issue. I think I don't know who's very uncertain who's going to captain the side because they are the defending champions as well. So keeping that in perspective, you need someone solid to lead the side, but otherwise a well-rounded squad, I'd say. KKR also decent squad, but I only think that the fast bowling can be somewhere they might fall short a little because Indian pacers really exciting prospects, yes, but you need someone that experienced foreign fast bowler who can guide the attack, or even an Indian experienced fast bowler like RCB got Bhuvi, MI's got Bumrah. You don't have someone of that sort. So I think fast bowling is the only place where they can fall short is fast bowling, I feel.
And again, just looking at KKR, I think they're contending with a lot of challenges off the field as well, right? I mean, with respect to their whole changing room staff getting replaced, like Gambhir is now with Team India, and I
Yeah,
think the
Gambhir
entire
is gone.
bonus, yeah, will fall on Chandrakant Pandit and all of that, right? So, Rishabh, do you think that will also play a massive role because we're seeing like slight changes in their, composition and everything. So, you suspect that could also play a role in KKR maybe not playing as well as they did in that 24 season?
Yeah, I mean, team environment does make an impact even to a certain extent, if not large, but does make an impact, honestly. But again, like to negate this thing, you need someone solid who can lead the side, who can bring everyone together. If you have a solid leader, what's happening inside might not affect that much if you have someone solid who can lead you on the field. So if they can get their captaincy sorted, I don't think outside issues can be that much of an issue.
Fair enough, that makes sense. And before we move on to SRH, Rishabh, your final playing 10, 12 for KKR, what does that look like?
For KKR, I think Quinton de Kock has to open because experience, left-hander, Sunil Narain, obviously. Then I think Venkatesh Iyer at three, maybe. Someone like Raghuvanshi at four there. You have Rinku Singh then, of course, Ramandeep, Russell. Then I think that play either of Moin Ali or Mayank Markande. Spencer Johnson, probably because Norkia honestly doesn't give that confidence. Vaibhav Arora, Harshit Rana, Varun Chakravarti, Indian bowling core.
Yeah, that again looks quite solid for KKR. And as much as, we were ranting about the things that may not work out for them, at least his playing left looks
They still
solid.
have a very solid side on paper, no doubt.
Mm.
It's just that the captaincy thing is something little they have to get sorted. If
Yeah.
they can, they still have a very well balanced squad on paper, no doubt.
Honestly, and because this is the mega auction, we're looking at like 3 seasons. They would want a solid captain rather than looking at a quick fix solution.
Yeah.
I hope at least that is the mindset they were going in with. And we have an interesting comment from Subhashini. She says she agrees with whatever her besties are saying. So thank you so much, and to all the viewers who are joining in us as well. Please, keep these comments coming in. It feels really nice that you're sharing your perspectives as well. And let's finally talk about SRH, our fifth team under focus in this live. Again, the kind of season they had in 2024 was just spectacular, right? I mean, led by Pat Cummins. Uh, Not a lot of people gave them chances, but then the way he marshaled his troops was
Yeah.
nothing short of impressive. Auctions, maybe, they did make some really smart buys. Again, before we get to the auction side of things, Rishabh, what did you make of SRH's retentions? A very not wholesome, like a very comprehensive retention thing, right? They looked into all aspects, batting, bowling, wicket keeper, everything was in play for them, right?
Yeah, they have their opening again sorted with Abhishek and Travis said if they can continue the same form, no issues there. They have Klassen again, finisher, wicketkeeper sorted there. Pat Cummins, your lead foreign pacer and your captain. So pretty decent retentions with SRH also, I feel. But I think the auction is they could have done a little better at the auction. I feel Nikesh Reddy also your all rounder is there. So retention's good, but auction I feel one of those teams who could have done a lot more better.
Fair enough, and I will pick your brains on what they could have done better. But looking at one of their purchases, of course, was that of Ishan Kishan. I was a little surprised there as to why they would go for him because you already have Heinrich Klaassen, who is a starter, who is definitely going to make your 11. But Ishan Kishan, Rishabh, where do you see him fit in that SRH scheme of things? Do we get him to open? Do we get him in the middle order? Yeah, your thoughts on that?
I don't know where Ishan Kishan is going to bat in that order or where is he going to fit in the 11, honestly, because your opening with Abhishek and Travis is sorted. You would not want to tamper that really. You have Klassen as your wicketkeeper who's performed brilliantly last season, finisher as well. And Ishan Kishan, apart from opening, I don't see which other role he can play and justify also really. So and a major dent on the purse as well, 11 plus CR something. So I didn't understand the buy of Ishan Kishan at all. It doesn't fit in the dynamics, honestly. I don't know what they've done with Ishan Kishan there. Unless someone like Abhishek or Travis Head gets injured or doesn't perform well, I don't know where he's going to fit in. And if you're keeping him as a backup for 11 CR, doesn't make sense, doesn't justify. Recent form has also been very up and down. So I don't know honestly with Ishan Kishan. I feel bad move, I'd say, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're looking at Ishan Kishan as a possible captain option, they want to groom him in these 3 years. But again, that's a very far-fetched
Very
kind of
far
thought,
fetched.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the very fact that we are not even confident of him making that playing 11 and him being used as a backup itself sounds very scary because Ishan Kishan is a really great player. But I think playing him out of position may not be the most ideal thing. So
Won't
that
favor
is
him, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, so let's see how that move kind of pays off for them. But again, Rishabh, like, what were your thoughts on the other acquisitions, right? I think for me, it's one of the bigger, like, best acquisitions was of Abhinav Manohar. I know he did express his interest, come and play for RCB and all of that, but okay, fine. SRH was, they caught on the hint and they got him on board. But besides Abhinav Manohar as well, there were a lot of interesting additions, right? Say the likes of Harshal Patel, Bryden Carson, then Ishan Malinga, and all of these people. So some very interesting names there. And Shami also actually.
Yeah, I feel very good inclusion with Abhinav Manohar because you have a very top heavy SRHR, but you need someone to continue that momentum at the back end as well. So someone like to accompany someone like Klassen can take a lot of pressure off him if Abhinav Manohar can fire like he has. Had a fantastic Maharaja Trophy also. So yeah, I think Abhinav Manohar very good addition there, and even with Harshal Patel and Mohammad Shami, because they let go of Bhuvi and Natarajan, so you needed that Indian fast bowling core. Mohammad Shami, if he's at his full fitness, I think over the last few seasons he's been one of the most consistent wicket takers. Bowls at the power play, can bowl in the middle, can bowl in the death as well. So pretty sorted there. Harshal Patel, purple cap winner last year. He's also been very consistent in the last few seasons and brings a lot of variations as well. So there's variety along with Pat Cummins, Mohammad Shami, and Harshal Patel there. Very potent fast bowling attack. Even with someone like Bryden Cars, I feel is really an upcoming fast bowling talent, and again adds to the variety there, because apart from Cummins, you need another fast foreign overseas fast bowler as well. So yeah, there. And I think one area where they had lacked was spinners, because after Rashid Khan, they've not again after Rashid Khan they've not had that kind of a solid leg spinner really. I feel, because who did they have? Hasaranga last season, I guess, but didn't do that well really. So I
Last season
think
they were managing with Mayank Markande, then
Mayank Markanday,
it
yeah.
was getting
So
a little tough for them. Yeah.
I feel with Adam Zampa, a lot of experience, specific T20 bowler, and with Rahul Chahar as well. Again, exciting prospect. Two good leg spinners, I'd say there. So they've done well there too. Still little bit of a concern I feel, because but they've done decent to bring in some good spinners which they were lacking, especially leg spinners. Blunder they let Rashid Khan go. Still don't know why, but after that they haven't had decent leg spinners really. So two good buys I feel with the leg spinners.
Yeah, and I think Ujjwal also goes on to add here that Travis Sheikh combines with Chahampa. I think
Yeah,
he's alluding to Adam Zappa and Rahul Chahar. I
Rahul
hope
Chahar.
they can hunt in packs and continue to produce magic, because the Hyderabad surface has been known to be a road. For the lack of a better word, I'm going to use the word road. So really interested to see how the bowlers just come along. And Ujjwal also goes on to say that they've scouted Aniket Verma, who is a lower order basher from the Madhya Pradesh league.
Lot
So
of
great to
guys.
see there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, lot of guys from this Madhya Pradesh league, even the UP T20, lot of guys from there this time, uncapped players, like I told at the start, have been picked, which is really good to see. If all these guys can get enough opportunities and make use of them, no better ground like the IPL, I feel, for them to emerge and come up, even from an exposure perspective, and showcase their talent as well. Even
No,
they've
that's
even
actually
got
such a good point. Yeah.
yeah, they've even got Sachin Baby, I feel, who not a lot of people are talking about, but can be a decent option in their middle order. And again, a bit of spin he also brings, so there is utility there as well. But yeah, with the likes of Aniket Verma and even a lot of other teams, uh, that has been one of the highlight of this auction. Really, lot of uncapped players have, teams have actually gone after a lot of uncapped players and picked them for decent prices as well. Some of them in crores. So one major highlight really.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, because besides the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, you have teams who are looking at the state leagues and how players are
Exactly.
performing there as well. And we've seen a lot of players, who have managed to get the big bucks, if not, just selections, which is a great sign. I think, Rishabh, here we have someone who disagrees with us on the Ishan Kishan point. Ujjwal goes on to add that Kishan, I feel, is a sensible buy, because in 2020 IPL, he played at number 3 or 4 because Decock and Rohit were opening. Ujjwal, apologies for that. The pandemic seasons for us were an absolute blur because I don't know, man. There's just so much happening. But a fair point there. And Rishabh, do you again see this possibility of Kishan being, pushed in that number 3, number 4 position? And maybe they can still extract the best out of him?
I don't know. They can push him at 3 or 4, but the problem there is there's already Abhishek and Travis who are both left-handers. So do you want three left-handers in your top three, top four? I'm really not sure if you want to have three left-handers in your top three, top four. And current form is also up and down really with Ishan Kishan. So I don't know. Maybe a very wild bet at 3 or 4, but I I'm not really sure that would work.
Yeah, because itna paisa deke, of course, him warming the bench is not the scene. We're going
Not
to
the
probably see
same, but
some change, yeah, but wonder where he's going to fit in
or
that.
you maybe open Nishan Kishan and bring Abhishek down at number three. Maybe I don't know how they're going to work. Maybe that could be an
Yeah.
option.
Possible, something they can consider. And Ujjwal also goes on to say, this is again in hindsight, right? That they should have targeted someone like, say, an Ankush Raghuvanshi or a Nihal Vadhera at number 3. to save a bit of money and should have backed Nitish and Klassen more in the middle. Again, Rishabh, you agree with this? Because when you look at SRH's season last time around, they heavily depended on Abhishek and Travis to give you
Very
those
top
touches.
heavy. Yeah.
And the middle order didn't really have that much of a say. So again, this is something in
You
hindsight they
saw
could have considered.
was evident in the final also. Their top order didn't perform. They fell in the final. We saw how they collapsed there. So yeah, you need guys who can bring that stability in the middle order. Someone like Nihal Vadera or Ankrish. Yeah, they should have gone with them who can provide little more support to someone like Nitish and Klassen in that middle order. That's why I feel Abhinav Manohar is a very good addition there. But yeah, apart from him, they could have also gone instead of 11 crores Ishan Kishan for a position that you already have filled, keeper, opener, could have invested in other players to bring more balance in the team. Yeah.
But again, Rishabh, just looking at SRH's composition, do you think they've gone like batting heavy again? Because when I see the bowling side of things, besides a few names, I don't see like a lot of like names emerging per se. I mean, that has been the pattern with SRH, right? Like going batting heavy and expecting those big scores, and then your bowlers come in and defend.
Now there's a major shift really because last before 2 3 seasons, if you would look at SRH, it was their bowling that would really win them games. You know, they used to defend 130s, 140s, and all also. But last 2 seasons, significant shift. The look at their top five, top six, really batting heavy. They have, like you told, they have gotten Harshal Patel, Shami, Zampa, few good experienced names, but yeah, still pretty much batting heavy only.
Yeah, I think that was one of the like biggest takeaways when I was going through their squad. And Ujjwal also says that Zampa could well be the frontline spinner with the Aussie captain having his
Yeah,
back. I think
like
Adam Zampa has also been criminally underutilized by so many teams. Do you think
yeah,
this could be his season with SRH?
yeah, like I told you, after Rashid, they haven't had that quality frontline leg spinner. So Zampa rightly fits the bill there, and with Pat Cummins at the helm, even irrespective, I mean, yeah, that could play a factor because, like you told, a lot of teams have underutilized him. But Zampa should definitely start in the 11. Lead leg spinner has to be.
Yeah, and I'm very tempted to ask you what could be the possible, playing 11 for SRS. But before that, let's also take this comment. Simarjeet and Shami will handle the new ball, I think, is what Ujjwal goes on to add. Again, Rishabh, in agreement with that, do you see this as the possible thing that could play out? Because you also have the likes of Harshal Patel, but again, do you want to use him in the death overs, the middle overs? Will that also come into play?
I think if you are playing Herschel, Shami, and Cummins along with Nitish Reddy, you already have four fast bowling options. So I don't know where Simarjeet is going to fit in there, honestly. And Shami Cummins with the new ball at the top, you have to play those two, and you need someone for your death bowling to complement Shami as well. So there is Herschel Patel there. So interesting perspective, but prospect. But I don't know again how Simarjit is going to fit in that bowling attack. You already have four fast bowlers, seamers there, so who are sure shot starters. I feel so. I don't know how Simarjit is going to fit in there.
Fair point there, Rishabh. And now I'll put you on the hot seat of what does your final playing 10, 12 for SRH look like? I mean, playing 11 plus the impact player. So, yeah, over to you.
Travis said Abhishek Sharma for sure opening. Now, since they've invested a lot on Ishan Kishan, even though I don't know where he fits, probably at number three. Then you have Klassen coming in at four, Nitish Reddy five, Manohar six, and then you have then it comes down to Pat Cummins, Rahul Chahar, Mohammad Shami, Harshal Patel, and Adam Zampa. I feel two you play with two leg spinners, and I don't know who can be their impact sub. Honestly, 11 is
Yeah.
sorted, but I don't know who can be the impact sub. Looks a little bleak. Maybe someone like Aniket Verma. I don't know.
Yeah, if they really want to beef up the batting side of things, probably he could be
He could. Yeah.
considered. Hmm. Anyways, I still think it sounds like a pretty, solid playing 11, considering all the resources they have. They have a lot of backups as well. So, I'm pretty confident that they will have a good
Yeah, I mean,
season.
if
Yeah.
their batters can consistently fire all of them, they can pretty much have the same strategy like they did last season. Just bat teams out. That's all. Just bat teams out.
That is one way to look at it. And let's comment from Ujjwal, which I think is not specific to SRH, like it's a general one. I think the factor that trollers on social media miss with all teams really is the scouting part. We don't know what they offer. Example, Patirana in 2023, Noor in 2023, Tilak in 2022, and Mayank in 2024. I mean, I don't see a question here, but Rishabh, do you agree with that? That the social media and all the fan army, not fan armies, like people who are like invested in cricket but don't really see like the scouting side of things kind of neglect this part?
One thing on social media, there's always going to be people
Opinion,
are
of course.
always going to talk with emotions more than with rational thinking or looking at numbers or logic or the reason why a certain team has let go of some player or is going after a certain player. So social media talks always going to be there. Not a lot we can really do about that, I feel. But again, you have to see which team wants what kind of player in which slot, what requirement, right? So they're not going to look at what's happening outside. You can't build teams based on social
Vibes.
media.
That is true. And Ujjwal also, I think, echoes a similar sentiment as yours that I think they have the bowling lineup to defend 250
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they get that
definitely.
in most games. And it's a
Exactly.
batting heavy side, right? We wouldn't be too surprised if they break newer records this season. But Rishabh, do you think SRH has it in them to, go all the way and, possibly be champions as well with the kind of side they've built?
Yeah, the only way they can go all the way is consistently their batting has to fire, score big totals 200, 200 plus, and you bat teams out because if you get those big runs, it is a decent enough bowling lineup that can defend those scores. So, same strategy as last season. If they can pull that off, they can still be good contenders, at least for the top four, if not going all the way.
Yeah, because I mean, last season that was pretty much the trend, right? They just out bat teams out of the game, and their bowling had to do the bare minimum to just
Bare
uh,
minimum, yeah.
yeah, seal the games. And yeah, we almost as we reach the end of our discussion, I had to bring this comment that Nikhil had brought in earlier. The most in demand Rishabh after Pant is here. Yeah, I mean, when I thought of this IPL auctions, I did think of Rishabh. So coincidentally, Rishabh Pant also ended up becoming the most expensive player. This is something we will discuss tomorrow because I think wrapping our head around 27 crores is going to be massive and quite interesting in that sense. So yeah, guys, that pretty much does conclude our discussion and our part one, so to say, because we are doing a part two tomorrow with five more teams, and quite looking forward to that. Thanks to all the viewers who joined us in, shared your questions and perspectives, and thank you, Rishabh. After a very long day of writing articles, you still made time to come on this podcast and share your lovely insights. Here's hoping to see you in part two. Not hoping, you will be in part two tomorrow. So continue to add value like this. And yeah, guys, take care, stay safe. See you tomorrow, Rishabh. Cheers.
Yep. See you tomorrow. Five teams more, lots more to talk about.
Absolutely.